Welcome back to another episode of Procrastination Podcast, where we talk about anime life and everything in between. My name's Matt.
I'm Robert.
I'm Alonzo.
And today we're talking about something near and dear to all our hearts and a lot of people our age's hearts, the 90s. But before we get to that, we're going to have a little bit of current events talk. Kind of a lot been going on with these comedians lately. Some ones that were also big in the 90s and kind of rolled over to the 2000s. And a lot of us kind of grew up with these guys who like comedy, like Cat Williams and Dave Chappelle, you know?
Yeah, I was watching Cat Williams' interview, and yeah, I don't know. Well, first I want to say, like, these two people I used to like trust with everything, like trusting comedians. I don't know why, but it's just like they say the honest thing, you know. So I just, I can see that. Especially they had these parts, and like almost all of them in the 90s had these parts where they would, you know, do regular stand up, and then they'll give you this, you know, this piece of real life, you know. They're like, no, let's turn off the comedy for a second and let me give you some real life. So I trusted them a lot, and like Cat Williams and Dave Chappelle specifically. And now it's starting to feel like, okay, here's the conspiracy part of this. Okay. I feel that now because of how regular it is with stand-up, like how Netflix has kind of bought out this thing that made it so people can make these super fast. And Cat Williams brought that up specifically in his interview, that he's like, I've had these many, you know, it was like 8 or whatever. I got 10 stand-ups on Netflix or whatever the fuck. And I'm like, okay, like all that means to me is now you don't care as much, you know? Yeah. Rather than you're putting in crazy amount of effort. I mean, he still probably is, right? You know, but like putting crazy amount of effort into one stand up, he's now putting way less, I think, you know, effort into all of these that he has, and he's getting that money regardless, right? That's the other thing. Mm-hmm. It's like you know, they make a contract for him having 10. I heard Dave Chappelle's like had a contract for 3, and like, so now does he need to put in the effort to get that money? I mean, like kind of not. And this is what I'm seeing. I think that in this moment where there is so many like bought out comedians, that now and I think in general, the entertainment industry in general, like you're finding less and less people putting in effort to make one thing. I don't see anyone trying to be the GOAT. No one in entertainment
that's true.
Is trying to be the GOAT anymore. Like Dave Chappelle was trying hard. Kevin Hart was trying hard when he first started. I mean, imagine Kevin Hart's first, like, I think it was like his first 2 were insane in terms of like I don't know if like I'm a Grown Little Man was one of his like first, but like I think it might have been like his like 3rd, but still like even the one before that, and still like Eddie Murphy's first like 2, you know, that are going back to the 90s, right? Like Raw and Equilibrium, like or you know, Delirium, whatever it is, and he. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like the GOAT goes and tries super hard on that one, and I'm like, where is that happening anymore? It's not. So I'm like, is this the time where we have no more GOATs? We're not going to get any new top tier like comedians anymore.
Yeah, that is a good point. I mean, yeah, I feel what you're saying. Like, basically, you can't really put out a quality product when you're diluting the amount of time that you're putting into it, and you're diluting the amount of effort going into it, or you're rushing the product, which we already know. Like, I mean, how many commercials and how many, you know, different things have we seen where people are emphasizing the fact that we take our time, you know, we take our time with this, you know, that's a selling point for a reason, because that means that you're not rushing the product. You're not just trying to throw something out there for the sake of putting something out there to say, oh, it's out there, but you're trying to really, really put your heart and soul into it. And that's what I think you're kind of getting at, is that at least what I kind of took from that is like they're not really putting their heart and soul into it. They're putting effort into it. Right. They're not putting the maximum. They're not putting their full selves into it like they were. And I think that's showing. Like you said, like in it's not that these people can't become popular, not that they can't become successful still, not that they can't make money, but they're never going to be on that level of all-time greats because they're not day in and day out putting in all this effort. And I don't want to say that's every comedian, but that's a lot of the comedians that have the most notoriety. Because I will say there are some comedians, like Josh Jackson, I think his name is
Johnson.
Josh Johnson. And he, I mean, he is at a comedy club working on his stand-up
right
a couple days a week. And that means he's writing probably every day. You know,
I mean, that's also his job.
Effort.
Right. Yeah. That's his job. He's a writer for Comedy Central. He's a writer for The Daily Show. And like, yeah, I mean,
but he's still writing his own stuff on top of that.
Yeah, I agree. John Johnson is definitely one of the like it seems like he's definitely on that trajectory of him being undeniable soon.
If he stays like that.
Right.
That's the thing is that they'll start off real. I mean, this is in sports. This is in so many things in life where people will start so strong and they'll have all the right things, and then they get a little bit of success, and then either it goes to their head or they're just like, oh, this is plenty. This is enough, and they just coast from there. So I hope he's not one of those. I don't think he will be. He doesn't seem like from what he's doing that he will be that kind of person, because it seems like he really enjoys putting his heart and soul into it and writing as much as he does and interacting with crowds. So hopefully he keeps that same sort of mentality and keeps doing that. And that people adopt that, that the up and coming comedians adopt that as like the blueprint rather than, just, getting this out there. Because I mean, and Kevin Hart, when he first started, again, he's kind of one of those same people. Like maybe the success or the amount of things he was dabbling into with Hollywood and doing more movies and doing shows and all this other stuff too, that made him kind of have to dilute his product. Because I mean, after those kind of first 2 or 3 stand-ups, I mean, I don't think there's an argument that from anyone that he fell off after that comedic.
Right.
It's not that he wasn't funny, but he was not at that level that he was when he started. And yeah, so I think you have a very valid argument. That's what I'm saying. So, I do feel that. Yeah.
Dave Chappelle's recent stand-up was like, to me, it felt more like a Netflix documentary than it did an actual stand-up. Like, he went up there and he told 3 stories about his life. Well, one when he was like a little younger, first getting in the industry, then going on to talk about, the stuff that happened when, the guy jumped onto his stage and he was kind of had to fight him off, that thing. And then he also talked about some other stuff, but it didn't feel like it, and I know in his previous stand-ups and stuff, like, he holds that punchline for a long time. Like, he'll make you wait super long for the punchline to make it feel even more impactful when he hits it. Yeah. But he did not do that in this stand-up at all. Like every time you think the punchline, that was the punchline. Well, that was the punchline. Like, that was it. He's not setting up for something else. And I'm not let's not critique his jokes too much, but like, it still felt like low effort, right? Like, yeah. If you get the first joke out, that's I could write that joke, But if it's like this well developed, series that, okay, the final punchline is the true real punchline, like, that felt different to me. And yeah, again, and like, it was filmed kind of like this Netflix documentary style, like a lot of close-ups, a lot of him sitting down, I know he does that often, but like, it just didn't feel to me like that's what this was supposed to be. He was like, let me just tell you some real life stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, it's because you're getting that money regardless. I feel like that's what it is. It's like, does it matter anymore? It's like, I don't know. And yeah, I mean, and then the other thing is like a generation gap thing too, where now, like, it feels like there's a bit of barrier that's between, like, the jokes he used to be doing it for was for, people our age, and now it feels like the jokes he's doing it for is for people older than us. And I'm like, like, is it like, why is that your fan base now? Is these? I mean, you would have thought that it would have kind of stayed consistent throughout, but now he's like, all right, I'm gonna make these jokes that are like, here's my other take on that. It's like, you remember when Coming to America came out, right? And we're like, that's hilarious. That's fucking, Eddie Murphy at his best, right? And then he made a sequel, and it was so bad. And I think the only reason it was bad is because it stopped being for us, and it has started being for our parents and people older than, right? And they loved it.
The thing about that, yes. The funny thing about my parents watched that. They loved it. They loved it, right? Yeah. But we have to realize, technically, that was their audience. That is their audience. Yeah. The people that were 20s and 30s back then are the people that are our parents' age now. That's technically who their audience is. So we can't really we just happened to also, we weren't supposed to hear half that stuff, right? We were looking at we weren't supposed to watch. Right. Like, I'm around the corner, dying on the ground. They can't say nothing because if I get hurt, I'm gonna get beat.
So, like, go to bed. What you doing up?
You get a shoe thrown at you with pristine accuracy, So I'm not, so I, in a sense, I get what you're saying, but in a sense, I also understand where they're coming from, where they're like, well, my audience is mature and I am not 30 anymore. So why am I talking to 30-year-olds? I'm not, 25 anymore. I'm not talking to 25. So I get that. I get that to an extent. And I do feel like Dave Chappelle, I mean, it hasn't been all of a sudden. It's kind of been his trajectory since he came back, because he's kind of went more to kind of this like talk comedy. I don't even know what to call. I guess that's the only way I can make. I can try to put it out there, but like a talk comedy where he's kind of done that more and more, and now he's kind of just delved even more into that, which is, again, people evolve, people change, and that's what happens. As you get older and you get more experiences, and it's like artists like in music, like Kanye West and these people, like they change. And people say, "Oh, I want the old Kanye back," and we want the old Dave Chappelle back, and we want the old Cat back, we want the old Kevin Hart back. And I mean, we're entitled to that. But and thankfully there are, recordings and all this stuff where we can go and reminisce with the old version of these people. But we can't expect them to stay the same forever. So I get your point, and I do agree. Like I said, I do think part of it is just kind of. I don't even know if it's apathy as much as it is maybe fatigue with the industry in general. But I don't, because obviously I'm not them, so I can't say for sure. But or mix, probably a mix. But I'm glad that we had what we had when we were young with them, and that's the stuff that I'll watch Chappelle show today. Today with whoever from my age group that I am friends with, whether it's you guys, it's my brothers, I can watch it with my parents. I mean, anybody, and it's funny, dude. And we enjoy it, and everyone laughs, and it's like that's what that's what we get sometimes, and we don't always get to keep that. So it's good that we at least have to have it at some point.
I feel like it's especially for Dave Chappelle. Where there's two things I want to say about it. One, there's a bit that it feels like similar to my mom's kind of comedy, where she'll just say the out of this world thing, right? Because that's funny, right? Is it like she'll say y'all haven't heard about the aliens, that's her kind of comedy. But and I feel like Dave Chappelle is starting to get that way, where he's just saying the thing that's the edgy thing to say at that moment, and not necessarily any real punchline there. It's just, hey, don't talk about trans people. I did, and that's the punchline. And I'm like, I hate that. But and then the second thing is, which I agree with you, that Dave Chappelle is so much of my time I've spent where the person who I'm making this product for says, "Dance for me, monkey. Here's your money."
Right.
And now he's getting to a point where he's like, "I'm doing what I want to do, and you can give me money, or I'm gonna, or not." Right. So that's kind of what is turning out to be, and to his credit, that's his right. You get to that amount of notoriety, that amount of fandom. Yeah. I mean, literally do whatever you want, right? And you'll make money. But to me, it feels like, like there's a bit of, I don't know if it's, I do feel like I am being a little entitled, right? That like he needs to be funnier, right? But I think it also is just like there's a bit of, I don't know, rapport or respect for your fans too, where you're like, all right, I'm going to try in this show if I want to make you pay to come here or pay to watch it,
True.
too. But anyways, rant over.
I haven't said one word. I don't have much to say about this discourse other than, you're right. Dave Chappelle has earned the opportunity to do whatever he wants. He's done the work. He's put in the work over time. He's he has changed, but that's what happens with time. You change as a person. You change your subject matter, your comedy style. I will say, like a lot of comedians today, they do this. I'm going to get canceled for this joke, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
Right.
And I found that cringy as hell, but I don't know. Maybe it's social media that's doing that because people are always trying to go for shock value, and they're trying to make the next viral thing. They're trying to make something happen to the social discourse, the zeitgeist, all this shit. They're just trying to make something happen, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that is a good point there too. Singularity affecting everything. Yeah, everyone will say the same joke. Everyone gets on the stage and Netflix pays them anyway to say the same joke, and it's okay.
Right.
Everyone's okay with it. It's so weird. This world.
That's facts.
Give me an escape. Give me an escape, Matt.
I mean, that's what this podcast is about. And today we're definitely kind of taking ourselves away from the current world and reflecting on the good. And we are going to a different place. We're going to the 90s, man. That's why I got my 90s coat on. We're taking it all the way back, in the early 2000s. But 90s mainly is what we're talking about. A little bit of early 2000s, kind of our young childhood days, simpler times.
Prime.
I mean, I feel like that's true,
I peaked at 8.
I was going crazy at 10, man. I was a different animal, man, on the playgrounds, man. What are you talking about? Ice tag champ 2000. But freeze tag, that's how old I am. I wouldn't freeze. I called it ice. Oh, God. Oh, old. I'm an old man. Anyway, so we're talking about the 90s, man. So, yeah, I think in general, we all kind of were around the same age then. We didn't know each other then at all, of course, but around the same age. So we kind of probably have at least some similar experiences. So a little bit different format today. There might be some overlap in what we talk about a little bit, but, obviously, if there's overlap, feel free to just it kind of include that in what you're saying. But yeah, I mean, we gotta just get right into it, And I know Alonzo said he was his prime, so I feel like this man has to have some insightful things to take us back to the wonderful 90s. Take us back.
All right, take us back to the past. Gotta get back. Anyway, that's something like that. I know they're a good early 2000s show, great show. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to start off this topic late 90s, early 2000s with gaming. Now, my family was poor, but I feel like the late 90s to early 2000s were a great time for games. We had great consoles. We had the PlayStation in the late 90s, PlayStation 2 early 2000s, GameCube early 2000s, Xbox early 2000s. So it was a great time for games. And my family was poor, so we didn't get a chance to play all the games. And I had no friends to go to their house to play games, but I still feel like it was a great time. A lot of different genres, a lot of different play styles you could do. So I feel like it was a fun time. So during that time, the three consoles I got to experience were the PlayStation 2, and GameCube. We got the PlayStation in 99, PS2 in 2002, and the GameCube in 2004. And some of the games we played for the PlayStation were Tekken 3. That was my shit. Mm-hmm. That was a great one. Crash Bandicoot, the GOAT, Spyro, the Robin to Crash Bandicoot's Batman. PS2, we had Ratchet and Clank, another GOAT series. We had Burnout series. We had Kingdom Hearts. We had Madden 2004, the best Madden of all time with Max Vick on the cover. I just want to put that in there. GameCube, we had Zelda, Simpsons Hit and Run, and Sonic games. So it was just
fudge bangers, man.
Those are games we got to play, and we ain't had no money. There was obviously other great games, like off the top of my head, God of War.
Oh yeah,
Jack and Daxter.
Shoot,
a whole lot of different games.
Ratchet and Clank,
Sly Cooper.
Yeah. Oh, Sly Cooper was my ish.
I remember Prince of Persia.
Prince of Persia.
I was cold. That fucking game, dude.
Man, we talk about drip, man. We talk about drip and Prince of Persia. No shirt, all service. What are you talking about, man? That dude went crazy. My man said, "I'm so fly. Time waits for me." That's crazy, man. That dude is crazy, man. I love Prince of Persia. Oh my gosh, that game is crazy. It's an innovative game, dude.
Right? They don't make games like that, man. They don't make games like that anymore.
They're trying to innovate.
They Prince of Persia that came out recently.
They did. I think they did.
In a movie too. I've heard a movie.
They did a movie?
I think they did.
Was the movie any good?
I don't know.
I doubt it. Highly doubt it.
Well, anyway, I didn't experience a lot of the games, but I still have fun with the fun and goofy ones we had. And every time I think of them, it brings me warm feelings, even though I don't have the best memory of my childhood. It's very fuzzy at best. I have a terrible memory, but it was a great time for gaming. PlayStation 2 era, especially, because that's generally regarded as the best gaming console of all time so far. So that's the first one.
Yeah,
just gaming in general.
Yeah, you guys had you get the big fat one, or the
no, that fat one,
that big fat one.
Yeah. I told you that my brother used to do some crime, some criminal activities, and he stole.
Wait, can we talk about this in here?
He stole some PS2 Slims, right? He stole some Slims, and we were playing it, and I don't know. I think we were playing WWE, WWF, Royal Rumble type shit. We had the connectors. You had the connector that had the 4 blocks on it.
Yeah.
We had like 8 people in the room waiting for their 2 seconds in the ring because of how long it would take. Yeah. And anyways, we were playing super hard, and we fucking flipped the system, broke it, dead. Right? So PS2 gone, right? And then next day, I swear, next day, another PS2 in our house. And I was like, I didn't say shit. I mean, I'm 10 years old, 9 years old at this time. I was like, fuck it.
The statute of limitations is up, bro. The statute of limitations is done, bro. It's over.
Go. Let's get it. Yeah,
that's crazy, bro.
But we had the fat one too, but I don't know. Remember having that one? I think
don't call it fat. It's the thick, man.
We have the thick boy too. But it, I don't remember what happened to that one. But yeah. Anyways, that's funny.
PS2 is like I like my one.
Lord.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, man. Oh my gosh. PS2. I had PS2. I didn't have GameCube. I played it with some other people like Alonzo. Mainly Smash. Smash GameCube was fantastic. Smash on everything was fantastic. Let's be real. Smash on 64. Smash on everything was fantastic. Mm-hmm. Barely played Xbox. I think maybe once over someone. I don't know. I can't remember. I don't think I never played Xbox. No, I didn't. I only played Halo on like the PC when people figured out how to put it on the school's PC. Only time I played that. So never played Xbox, but yeah, for sure. Sly Cooper was one of my ish. I played 1 through 3 Sly Cooper for sure. Like you said, Tekken used to go ham. Yoshimitsu. I used to be canceling dudes with Yoshimitsu. Right?
So pumping his sword, right?
Yeah. Sword pops. Bro. And dope, bro. Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 2. Oh my gosh, bro.
Don't get mad started. Don't get mad started on this game. You'll bring it up every time.
One of the best games of all time, bro. One of the best games of all time. Maybe the best. I don't care what nobody says about fighting. That has to be top 3 fighting games of all time. Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 2. So freaking good. So freaking good. We had fusions. The mods for it were crazy. Dude, people were going crazy on that game, man. We would have whole, like Alonzo said, like Robert said about like 8 people in one room. Bro, we would have the whole block playing that tournament, running tournaments, bro. With the brackets and everything, running tournaments to your characters. I be putting in work, man. We'd be putting in work with Team Gohan. And it would get so crazy and serious. Like, we'd be betting candy on it. Romeo Snickers, bro. Romeo Snickers. And we were getting so into it one day with my brother. And we had ours, like, up as well. Like, up, kind of in the side. And we got way too into it. My brother, when he gets, like, really into it, he would kind of pull back, right? Like pull back a little bit. One day he got too into it. He pulled that jump back and pulled it just straight off the shelf. Bro, and that jump fell on the ground. I was just like, bro, no, my baby. That PlayStation did not come back on, man. And my mom was like, oh, I ain't buying another one. I was like, dang, bro. So I had to go cut grass, sell candy at school, somewhat illegally, statute of limitations it up. And basically just hustle to basically make money to like buy another one. Like, so we had to hustle up like all this money for like some months to finally be able to finally, and I think my birthday had come, my grandma sent me a little bit of money, and like, so just all my savings, all my hustling, I just had to save up to get another PlayStation. We got one a couple months later, but built some character or whatever. But like, it was, oh my gosh, man. So fun. Such a good game system. And I mean, the games on there were just incredible. Like, I mean, I can play them today. Like, I would play those games today and still have so much fun. Like you guys said, I mean, yeah, we could go on forever about that. Yeah, definitely up there. My favorite game system of all time, and my favorite game of all time, Kingdom Hearts, which is my painting up here is about. But Kingdom Hearts 2, my favorite game of all time, PlayStation 2, and I played that game like 6, 7, 8 times, maybe more, dude. I played it so many times. I love that freaking game. It is till this day my favorite game of all time, and yeah, probably my childhood made me fuzzy, but for sure the gaming part of it, maybe the best part of it was how much fun we had with these kind of games and how like innovative they were. Like, we kind of talked about the singularity, but it was like everybody wanted to do something different gaming wise back then. Everyone was just doing different random stuff, and sometimes it flopped. It flopped. It had a good amount of flops, but sometimes it just hit, and when it hit, it really hit, and people would just keep making it, keep playing it. They would be playing all the sequels and all this stuff, and we enjoyed it, man. Yeah, so for sure, gaming, fantastic part of the 90s, early 2000s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're changing up the format, so I'm gonna go on to my next one. But not to harp on the fact, my family was very poor. I think up until age 6, my mom, my sister, and I, we shared the smallest room of my great grandma's house. Not my grandma's house, my great grandma's house. We shared the smallest room together. Like me and my sister shared the bed, and my mom slept on the floor. And we did that for like 6 years, up until I was like 6. And then
you sound like you about to get drafted.
Bugs, yeah.
It's like an NBA draft story. Well, he did make it though. He got it.
I should have went to the NFL, but that's another story.
Hey man, I feel that.
But it was some tough times, but there can be inevitable that we had to move. We got our first apartment, 3-bedroom apartment. I had my own room for the first time. When we first moved in, we didn't have beds yet, so I had to sleep on the floor. But eventually, over time, we got beds, we got furniture, and we also got TVs. Mm-hmm. Yes, very nice. Mm-hmm. With that, we could only afford cable for one TV. We didn't know anything about splitters, so the living room TV was the TV to be at. They didn't watch anything. But when I was in my room alone, I had the antenna set up. And with the antennas, that brought me PBS, Public Broadcasting Station. And they had some goated shows. I'm talking Clifford, the Big Red Dog, Arthur, Cyber Chase, Liberty's Kids, Between the Lions, Reading Rainbow. Those were my shit.
Yes.
Like, without cable, those were the shows I always flocked to. All this to say that PBS was the shit growing up, and like the whole process of not being addicted to television in the early 90s, in the late 90s to early 2000s was something I really appreciated about that time. Like, you could miss something and not really care. If you missed it, you missed it.
Right.
You're not going to see it again, but you can go about your life. You can go outside, go play with your friends, all of that shit. Of course, I ain't had no friends, but still, it was a great feeling back then.
Okay.
Yeah. TV definitely big in my family as well. Like back in the day, like that was also like the big family thing, right? It's like, we're sitting by the family TV that's giant, like super heavy, really bulky. It's like half the room is this TV.
Yes.
It's like that TV.
One no slit. All the TVs was triple thick. What are you talking
about? And putting on some, like putting a stand up on or whatever, or putting the or watching some channel together, like that was great. That was peak family entertainment there,
right?
Yeah, and also agree that like PBS. I mean, these are channels that are raising our kids, man. Right. PBS. Like, that is crazy. That is exactly the thing I remember watching as well. Just like, look, if it's on air cable, that's the only thing we watched when I was young, definitely.
Bro, is anything even free to watch nowadays? Like,
I have no idea. like legally? I doubt.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, man. That's the beauty of it. I mean, these are bangers, and these are on free television for everyone in America to watch. Right. And that is the beauty of it, the accessibility of all of it. And feel like we harp more on all of these beautiful ideals and morals nowadays. I feel like there was almost more being done before. Like, it seems like, so I don't know. I think, without getting too philosophical into that, but I definitely think that back then, just things were, like Alonzo said, like, just kind of like, we didn't just harp on certain things that didn't matter. Like things that don't matter didn't matter, right? Like, so stuff like social media was like, oh, it was fun, but do we care about it when we left? Not really. When MySpace and all that stuff started, people, talked about it, but they didn't really care about it. It wasn't your personality like it is for people now, And like, same thing with TV. Like, we cared about it. Like, we watched it. We wanted to catch our shows, but, and if you were lucky, some of the kids had like the whole, had like the cassette tape recorders, which we didn't have and whatever, but or VHS tape recorders rather, not cassette tape. Geez, VHS tape recorders, and but most of us. I know I didn't have those, but if not, you just missed it. You missed it, like you said, and maybe you catch a rerun at some random hour of the day at some point. But that was also kind of the fun part of it. Is like, okay, like I'm gonna really try hard to make sure I'm in place for this show at this time, and you're like super excited because it's like the only time of the day you can watch. You can have this time blocked off to like watch this thing, and it was just kind of nice. Like, but yeah, I mean, for sure. TV in general is probably one of mine that I'll kind of put on. I'll talk a little bit about, but I'll kind of leave that for now because I think just general thoughts, like Alonzo said, PBS, Reading Rainbow, off 8, bro. First off, the intro, man. Come on,
stand up, bug.
Reading Rainbow. I mean, bro, it's so good, man. Like that, bro. You know what? I do that. Just a quick aside. The intros in general for shows in the '90s were crazy good, man. Intros for Sister, Fresh Prince, Reading Rainbow. I mean, Sesame Street. I mean, what's that junk? Cousin Skeeter. All these shows. The intros were crazy good, man. The intros are all classics. All of them. All the intros are classics. That's crazy, dude. And I mean, some shows don't even have intros anymore these days, right? Like,
right?
So sure. I mean, I don't know, man. It's a special time, and especially for TV and the rise of technology. It was cool to be a part of that transition for sure.
Mm-hmm. So the last thing I wanted to bring up is something that is on life support in today's day and age, unfortunately. I'm, of course, talking about malls. Now, malls, they used to be the place to be. I remember my mom would just drop me and my sister off at the movies at Military Circle Mall and just leave us there. Like, we didn't have cell phones back then. We would just be on our own. So after the movies were done, we'd just walk around the malls, peruse the stores, eat something from the food court, run into people we know. And, of course, if we go into GameStop, and just being everything in there, everything we couldn't afford. So just play the games in there. Now malls are dead, but I still remember the good old days. Malls had to be one of the greatest inventions for human congregation, and we've kind of lost that now with Amazon and on-demand ordering, and so they're all but dead in the water. Most malls, I got a mall near me. There's nothing happening over there.
Right.
But malls had to be one of the most amazing things back then.
What about tobacco, etc.? That's the greatest store.
Oh my gosh!
It's got everything.
It's got etc. Exactly. You don't need etc.
Yeah, that is a good one though. That is crazy good.
That's really
like
good one.
Malls. Yes, that is literally where I live, dude. Like, yeah, because like wanting to go to the movies so often, right? So like, yeah, and then when you were just in there, right? Like, there's nothing else to do. Like, malls were almost always connected to the movie theater, and then you just had to be in the mall until your parents came and picked you up. So yeah, it was like you said, just fucking harassing everybody in every store, running through Macy's. Everyone's like, slow down. Right. It's like, yeah. I remember those times fondly. Mm-mm.
Man, that's such a good one. I can't even. I didn't even think. I can't. I'm ashamed of myself for not thinking about it.
Yep.
It's that good. Like, man, like malls are so freaking great. Like, I mean, even up until like high school, like, even up through high school, I feel like malls were still great. Like, but then like just fell off, like you said. But like, especially, oh my gosh, as a kid, like you said, we just get left there, right? And sometimes you just beg. You'd be begging on Saturday, please just leave me. Like, let me take you to the mall. Just leave me there. Do whatever you need to do. Come and get me whenever. I just want to be in the mall and like just be in like amongst people or whatever. And it's like, it was just crazy. Like, it was such a good time. Like you said, man, just like, I have like $10 in my pocket, but that was enough back then to get you a movie and get you a snack. But I felt like a big shot. You walk around the mall with your brother or your siblings or whoever, and like y'all just going through these stores. No, you ain't about to buy nothing. You ain't about to buy nothing. But you just go
touching everything.
I mean, I could fit this. I ain't got like, and then me as a kid, it's like we'd walk past the women's underwear section. Like
Victoria's Secret. What is the secret?
Oh my gosh, man. See the D cup thing. I thought D's were a bad thing, but maybe not.
I need to get me some D's.
Like, oh my gosh, bro. Like, I mean, so much stuff. Like, dude, we used to just be in Walmart and ish too. Like all these stores. It's like we just be trialing the bikes and like the skateboards and stuff. And I remember one time we got freaking kicked out the store, dude. They put us on the wall and everything. They didn't tell our parents, right? They just like don't go to the store, because we were like playing around on all the bikes. And we were racing through the aisles, dude. You're like going crazy on like these little trikes, and we're like, we're way too old to be on these tricycles, but we're like on like little tricycles, like the only thing I had out. We're like, yeah. Oh my god, dude. Employee just comes and steps right in front of us. We're like, we can run this guy over, couldn't we? But
and they had that giant barrel of like soccer balls and beach balls or whatever. And he's just like hitting them out, throwing them at each other. Yeah. It's like, oh man.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Problem children.
Yeah, we were terrible kids.
I'm sorry. I apologize to those Walmart employees, but your store was way too fun, dude. Way too fun. You can't have that much access to fun things, dude. Right. And we had that much money. So you got free bikes, free bikes, free skateboards, free assorted sports things. I mean, just there to use, and I know I can't take it out of the store because my mom ain't gonna buy it. So like, I gotta play with it here. I'm sorry. I mean, it is what it is. Don't mean to be a problem, but I am. But it was a good time. It was a good time, man. And yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with just like one of the few communal grounds for just people just to like be together, and people were just chill. It was just chill. Like, it wasn't a whole lot of people being upset or arguing or like fighting over clothes or whatever. It was like people just being chill, walking around, seeing stuff, talking about themselves, enjoying their lives. And it was just cool. It was just cool to be around it and to feel like you're around like just good energy for like whatever amount of time you're there, and kind of just get away from things too, get away from being at home, being stuck inside or being stuck around the same old and feeling just like a little different, feeling like you're a little bit, I don't even know if it's like more important, but you could feel a little bit more like a big shot for a little bit. I don't know. It was cool. It was a nice time.
Agreed. Well, I will. I will do mine then. I'll bring up games one more time because that was my first one as well. And but I wanted to talk about GTA. You guys did not talk about GTA. GTA was literally my whole life when I was young. Like, there was a time, I think I told this story before, but there was a time where my dad or my mom's husband at the time, she was dating a truck driver. And sometimes he would take us in his truck, and when he's doing like a short ride, maybe he'd go to North Carolina or something like that. Then he's like, "All right, you guys want to come with me?" And he'll pack like me and my brother up in the truck or whatever. Rarely he took my sister. Very rarely he would take my sister. But anyways, in there he had a little TV, and it's like I'm saying like this small TV, And it was hooked up to his truck battery, and technically the truck battery can last basically all night. You rarely is it ever going to die or whatever, especially just using a TV, right? One little TV. So then, he was like, "Here, I'm going to go do my things, and you can be in here in my locked truck, and you can play your video games." And the only game I had was Grand Theft Auto Vice City, dude, and that's what I would play. And I would just run around with the car. I was just be in the car and listen to music the whole time. It was very good. That's what I remember. It was great. GTA Vice City can't be sane in that truck alone. But I wanted to mention, like, I feel like back in the day, games had this good balance of storytelling and combat and, you know, all these other mechanics and stuff like that. And now I feel like you either get one or you get the other. You get some really good storytelling games. I'm not going to say that's not a thing. Like, Baldur's Gate is insane. It's literally any infinite amounts of possibilities. You can't get better storytelling than that. But like, but now the games that really get popular are the games that aren't really about like the story. These battle royales or like Pal World, which is literally like Pokemon. It doesn't have, I don't think there's a story there, or Lethal Company, which we played together, and you see there ain't no story. Like, no. And there's also no end to it. And they like making these games. And I'm like, it's, you know, to each their own, but still, like, I want more games that are this good middle ground between storytelling and combat.
Yeah. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like, but I think again, it goes back to everyone back then was trying to be more innovative. Yeah. Everyone was trying to do something different. They were trying to push the boundaries a little bit, and I think they were like, you know, they got these new, for what the time was, high-powered systems in like the PlayStations and Xbox and GameCube. They're like, oh, what the freak? He's like, the graphics. First off, graphics made a huge jump. Like, graphics made a huge jump from like from like Gen 1 to Gen 2 systems. And so I think people were just like, oh, what can we do with this? You know, we have all this processing power. We have all this, you know, these amazing graphics for the time, and we got to try to push the boundaries of this. And it seems like all the creators were really aiming to do that. And that's why, again, like we said, we had so many, you know, unique and really, really fun games. And like some games just became super like niche and obscure, but there's still people that just absolutely love them. Right. And some just like kind of fell off. I mean, there's one game on Xbox, I think there's like, I can't even remember. It was like some game on Xbox that I think was also like, it was Xbox specific, that was really popular for a little bit too. I can't remember if it was like a cat or I don't remember what it was. It was like some sort of cat person game. I don't remember what it was, but it was like a couple of games like that where like they were super niche and they're like only maybe like specific for like Xbox or specific for whatever. And people would love it. People would love it, and they would just like keep playing that game for like till they stopped making, you know, sequels, or till they stopped, you know, stopped having Xbox or whatever, or stopped having PS2. And again, I mean, it was just a different time. But yeah, I think, like you said, it kind of goes back to the comedian thing too, where it's like people are just out here just trying to get the revenue, and they're like, well, if the revenue comes, what's the point in making a game that's puts in all this effort for the sake of basically self-gratification and a niche, what could be a niche group of people that really, really, truly appreciates it. Whereas I could put out this very basic game that is going to be appreciated by a lot of people, maybe not on the level of some of those go-to games, but it's going to be appreciated enough for me to make plenty of revenue, you know, and live happily. And that's what people are kind of going for now. So I don't know. I don't know if that's our fault, the consumers, or if that's the people producing its fault, or if it's a mix of both. I guess it's probably more a mix of both than anything. But yeah.
No, I was too poor to afford GTA, but also my mama would have beat my black ass if I ever brought GTA to our household. So there's no way I was playing that. I didn't play GTA until GTA 4 in my freshman year at NSU. So that was my first introduction to GTA. Yeah. But in regards to your statement about storytelling in games, I feel you with that. Like it does seem like games are kind of motioning away from true storytelling, especially the big AAA studios. It seems like they're going for just more sequels, more movie type games, more games that just are just cookie cutter safe bets to make a profit, I guess. Because video games do make a lot of money these days, especially with the prices they're charging. Forget about it. Like, there's a new Suicide Squad game. It's basically like the movie. It's Kill the Justice League, but it's $70, and they had a launch for like early access, and the early access launch was terrible. And they had people paying $70 to play a game that didn't work. It's ridiculous.
That's insanity.
Look,
That is insanity.
I also agree with that, and like fighting games do the same thing. It's like, hey, here's a fighting game, and then don't worry, buy this pack and you'll get DLC. And I'm DLC, like, I hate DLC, man. I hate it so much.
Bro, oh my god, man. Trick, man. You hate DLC. What a freak, man.
Like God of War, the latest like part of God of War was all DLC apparently. And I didn't know that. Jordan actually told me that in the Discord. So I'm like, what? Really? Like a whole part that I don't know about, and it's because it costs $20 extra than this $70 game? Like, okay.
Right?
Anyways, you make
like,
billions of dollars.
The games are $20.
Right.
It's one thing the game is $20. Like you're playing a full price game and you're not giving me the full game. I think release because you can't. There's no way you're making the DLC fresh because it wouldn't fit. It wouldn't even fit in the game. It wouldn't fit with the game. So you know you have the DLC made. You hold on to it, know you're going to release it later, just to charge us more for the same thing that we should already get with the base game. That is the stupidest ish I've ever heard in my life, and I freaking hate that about games nowadays. That's why I barely play games like that because it just like they take all the fun out of it and make it so monetary. Like even like we talked about NFL, like in the NFL games back in the day, Madden 2004, like to the NBA games. We were playing NBA Live back then. We weren't even playing 2K, but NBA Live back then, and like all this stuff now is like monetized, buying skins, upgrading your player, blah blah. And the same thing for all the games. Oh, you want to unlock extra characters? Here you guys buy the DLC. Oh, you want to unlock this extra story mode part? Here, buy the DLC. Like all of that was, oh, you run around in this game until you figure out some obscure way to unlock this character, you know, or you run around this game until you figure out some random crack in this world and you find this hidden part, you know, and that was part of the fun of the game. It's like, oh, what am I going to find in this game by roaming around this random part, or what am I going to unlock with this weird, you know, streak of wins with wins with a grapple or wins with holds, wins with grabs. All of a sudden, you know, I got 5 wins with grabs, so then I get unlocked some character, you know, some grappler character, or something like that. Like that was part of the fun of the games. Like, and yeah, they sold guides for the games, right? But the guides weren't necessary like a DLC is. A DLC at times is necessary to actually fully enjoy and fully play the game. Guides were just like, if you really don't want to go through the hard work of, you know, figure it out on your own, then you have the guide. But you never had to get that. And that's like so frustrating about games. I think, again, that's another thing that contributes to the downfall of it is over monetization. I understand you have to make your money, but over monetization of the games is just ridiculous. Because I mean, we got like the system's already like double, triple what they used to cost. I know inflation and all this stuff, blah, blah. But even with inflation, they're way too expensive. Like, let's be real. And like within a year or two, the PlayStation 2 had dropped down to like $100 or $50, you know, or like $100, I think within 2 years. And then by the third year, it was like $50, 75, something like that. Like it was very affordable by the time it was like 3 or 4 years old. And like that doesn't happen anymore with systems. Like they go down a little bit, but they don't really go down to like a really affordable price, you know? And yeah, it's just games in general. Like we'll have a separate talk about this, I feel like, but yeah, it's kind of a little disappointing from what we came from.
Yeah, definitely. So, and my second one, similar to Alonso again, talking about TV and this, and specifically, I wanted to say that like I liked the process where we had to kind of churn through to get to the thing that you want to watch. And then it felt more rewarding when you know, like, for instance, like staying up super late to watch Case Closed, you know,
Right.
or like, you know, like you said, Samurai Jack or something like that, right? Like things that were like on late on Toonami, like having to wait for it, that felt good when you, or rewarding when you're like, oh, you know, I caught it and I watched it, and you know, and then we can talk about it, kind of thing. But now it's like, you know, with all this, you know, choice, it gives people, like, I don't know, it doesn't give anyone that reward anymore, I think, when it comes to TV or watching anything, really. It's just like, okay, well, I clicked this button and watched that thing. I binged the whole thing in a day, you know? like,
true.
Like, did you really enjoy it? You know, did you really, you know, feel the you know, like, I don't know. There's, like, I remember that from, like one of the only things I remember about Dragon Ball Z, like, honestly, is in the middle of a fight, getting cut, and then having to wait another week, you know, for that new episode to come, and then realizing that actually that week they skipped. So you're actually watching the same episode again that week, and you have to wait the next week for the actual fight. You know, I'm like, damn, why did next time on Dragon Ball Z? This is what, you lied to me. You know, like waiting for that, and then feeling how good it felt when, like, okay, and then you see the real ending of the fight. Like, that felt great. That's a part of TV that I miss. That's a part of, like, you know, like I don't know, like the, you know, whatever the opposite of choice is. Yeah, like just pure, you know, viewing. Yeah, it's just, I miss that.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know, man. I definitely feel you on that. I gotta say, we already kind of talked about TV, but I gotta say, Toonami specifically is, I mean, maybe the most formative, like, television experience of my childhood. I would say Toonami is the probably most formative television experience of my childhood, and Toonami itself is single-handedly responsible for the popularity of anime culture currently in America. I don't care what anyone says. If someone wants to say it's otherwise, they're lying. It's Toonami. It is solely Toonami, and because the generation that truly loves anime and that brings the love and makes it acceptable, because it wasn't acceptable. It was like a whole niche, problematic, you're a nerd, you're getting picked on thing for a long time. And it's our generation that's making it more acceptable, right? So it's like, that's all the Toonami generation. And that's all Toonami's work paying off, basically. Because we were like, oh, that piqued our curiosity into anime. So we watched more and more. And so it became more readily available, even through kind of weird means or through somewhat illegal means. We still made a way to watch it. And that is, like, so important. I mean, because, like, we learned so much. And that's the one thing I feel like I watch things today outside of anime. I watch things and I don't feel like I learn anything. Like, and I don't mean like learn sometimes in like schoolwork or math work, but like I feel like I learned life things, like life lessons, like morals. I learned things that helped me get through obstacles and issues in my life from the things I watched in the 90s. And I mean, this includes not just anime, from like the sitcoms and things like that as well. The family sitcoms, those sorts of things, like they address real issues. And I think there's still shows that do that, right? But the way they went about it and the way they were so candid about certain things and just well-spoken and well-versed, and the way they made it so accessible and so understandable to different age groups, for anime and for like I said, some, like these 90s sitcoms and stuff, man, back in the 90s, dude, like that ish meant like so much to the formative version of me, and that ish was just so nice. It was so good. It was so good to see, and it was so, like I said, just so different than things are now. And maybe that's because we're adults and we're not taking in things so readily. But I feel like it just even when I'm looking for that, I only can find it really in anime. That sort of feeling of, okay, like I need something to give me a push through or to give me some sort of insight, you know, and I don't get that from watching anything else. I mean, so I like I said, anime and Toonami specifically, single-handedly carried shouldered the mantle and the burden for anime in the 90s, 2000s, and we will never forget you, Tom. Tom was that dude, man. And when that dude Tom left, dude, I ain't gonna lie. When Tom left, oh my gosh, bro, I ain't never had so many grown man tears in my little body before. That jump was crazy. When Tom left, man, I was truly sad because I'm thinking they're like, they ain't really gonna get rid of Tom. They're gonna reboot him again because they kept rebooting him. Right? They kept changing up his look. I was like, they're gonna reboot him. They're gonna reboot him. And when that man walked out the door, that junk closed, that the Toonami junk just like went black. I'm just like, ain't no way, bro. You ain't do this to me, man. Not my Tom, no. Man, that joke was terrible, and I appreciate them. And again, even that was a lesson that all things in life come to an end, and even the good things. And it's okay because we still carry on, and we carry on the things that we learned and took from it. So, like that, Tom still, even at the end, giving us life lessons.
And you even said, "Oh yeah, go ahead, Alonso."
Yeah, Toonami was good. Yeah, family time watching TV was always good. We used to watch Fox Animation Domination. But, yeah, go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, and like Kids WB, that kind of thing too. I remember all of that. And I was gonna say, I remember you mentioning before, Matt, that like part of your personality, part of your, what was molded a little bit by these early, cartoons and anime, that now I feel, for sure. I feel that social media has way more impact on these kids than what they're watching in terms of entertainment now. But I'm like, I enjoy being someone who's like, I don't know, kind of like hopeful for the future kind of thing. And I feel like I got that a lot from when I was watching cartoons, that's what they were engraving in you, like especially anime too, that like, we will persevere kind of thing. Like that's great. And are what are kids watching nowadays? And are they getting these same kind of like parts put on them? I don't think so.
It doesn't seem like it.
Right.
I know we sound like haters, but I mean I've watched the stuff my nephew and my niece watch, and I'm like, dude, this is nonsense.
This is pure stupidity.
It's actual just nonsense. Like, I'm not saying we didn't have shows like that. We had shows like that, dude. Right. We had Ed, Edd n Eddy. We had Cat Dog. We had some dumbass shows, dude. Yeah. Billy and Mandy was straight nonsense. It was straight nonsense shows. Like,
I love the show called Two Stupid Dogs.
Oh yeah.
I love that show.
But I mean, we had nonsense, but it was balanced. And the scale is just tipped heavily to just nonsense and I mean, I'm not even saying like traditional immorality, but it's like people that just like have no stance on like on anything. Like they don't like they don't stand on their own 2 feet. And whether it's these streamers that they watch or these a lot of these shows and I don't know, man, but it's. I don't want to harp and sound like an old person, but I'm old at this point anyway, so whatever.
The last thing I had was more of a more of a thing that I remember, right? When I was in middle school, one of the only things I used to do when I would come home from school, throw my bags on the ground, change my clothes sometimes, rarely though, change my clothes because just like Alonso, we were poor. I didn't have more clothes. I went to a middle school where we wore uniforms, right? So like, I got 3 more uniforms packed up. No. All right, this is it. But anyways, I would go and my neighbor right across the street, he was my best friend, Tim. And then like right down the street, there was another friend, right? So neighborhood friends. And we would get together, we would all get on our bikes and we just run around, right? And that's what I miss, right? Like super low effort friendships, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like having to do nothing but be in the same zip code to be best friends with someone. You know what I mean? Like that used to be a thing, and that used to be great. And like now with everyone, on like we said again, like everyone on social media joining these online things, I feel like that's super rare now. It's to be like, oh yeah, this is my friend because we live in this area and we interact every day. We had to because we live in this neighborhood, right? Like we don't do that anymore. And like imagine me trying to do that now. I mean, adults. They're kind enough, right? And my neighbors are kind enough. Like I could go to their house and ask them for sugar or whatever, and they probably give me some. But I'm like, it's still not. It's not a friendship. It's not going to develop into a friendship with my neighbors. And I'm like, that is what I miss. I miss it being super, like not having to like. Here, the other thing I remember is like, all right, that costs nothing for that friendship. You know what I mean? Like we get home and no money involved. I get on my bike, we go have fun. Doesn't cost anything, And I'm like, now imagine that as an adult. There is no free entertainment at all. 0% free entertainment. I'm like gas, food. And the entertainment all costs money. Like my friend, my coworkers are like, oh yeah, come out with us. We'll go to this place. We're gonna have some drinks. I'm like, all right, so I gotta pay the money to get there because I gotta drive. So I got that gas money or whatever, and then I have to pay maybe to get something to eat. Then I gotta pay for food, and then they didn't tell me this is a pool hall, and it costs money to just be at the table, and we're gonna split all that. Hey, everyone's gonna split. Okay, well, I mean, yes, I have the money to spend, but I'm just saying, like, where is the free entertainment? There's a free thing you can do as a group of friends. Yeah. That's not online.
Sure.
God.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think that these kind of run into mine, so I don't want to say too much. I'm gonna let Alonzo kind of take it over, but yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, it was I think you're just saying childhood in general. It was simpler times.
Right.
It was simpler times.
Right.
Like in general, I mean, we didn't have the responsibility of these bills. I mean, even us knowing we didn't have that much money, it's like, oh, well, I'm good though. Like, it didn't really bother us, so it's like.
What do you need money for? Yeah.
Right. Like I'm having plenty of fun with no money, so it's like, I don't know. Like it was a whole different mindset we even had. Like, and again, I think that's part of that is just being a kid. Like you weren't thinking about all of that stuff. So, but yeah, I'll these kind of go into mine. So I'm gonna let Alonzo take over.
Oh, that's a bad decision because having friends can't relate. I had no friends growing up. I had to tag along with my sister's friends, but yeah, in today's times as an adult, making friends is even harder. Like I don't know what to do. I hate spending money. I don't like putting myself out there, being rejected by people, but yeah, it's tough times as an adult. It was much simpler times back in the day, being a kid. Just having to tag along with people or even just going to school, talking with people at lunch. They may not have been your friends, but still someone to talk to. Like we're all in there together, like prison, but still.
Rarely did it have to be you. You had to form a group or something. Like some of the times, it was literally just legit. We're the same age.
Right.
That's it. It's like, no, imagine that now. Like, it's not like that. It's literally like, okay, where do you work? What do you do? What are your fandoms? You know what I mean? Like, people don't just
to all of your opinions.
Yeah. Are you blue or are you red? All right.
Not politics again, please.
You know what I mean? Like, I miss the days.
Yeah. I mean, I feel that. And that kind of goes into mind, like kind of both two things you said go into mind. And kind of the first one is just like, it was just simpler back then. It was just simpler, more peaceful, and safer, and more community. I mean, there were like I said, we would just go to the mall and get dropped off places. Like, honestly, there weren't kidnappings and there weren't like occasional shootings and stuff like that. But I don't know, dude. It won't happen to us or anybody I knew. I don't know, dude. I feel like it was not as much of a thing. Like it felt like the safety was more like your neighbor was like your keeper too. Like he or she would also keep an eye on you, kind of make sure you're good. If they saw something happen, they're not just gonna let it happen. Like people aren't just gonna start recording, right? They're gonna help you. So like that sort of thing was just like more commonplace back then. And I don't know if it's advent of technology or what, but I think that was a big difference. Is like there was a community feel. Especially in your immediate community, at the very least. But I feel like in general, wherever you went in America, there was more of a community feel than it is now. And it's like, yeah, you'd be doing stuff when you're a kid, and like, okay, your kid is in trouble. Like other people, let me step in and help out this kid for the most part. Or like, we see you struggling with whatever. For the most part, people would stop and help you. And it wasn't like a fear thing of like, if I stop him, I'm getting murdered. Like it just didn't. I mean, it happened, but it wasn't like this thing where like it was perpetually these fears in the back of people's minds. And I don't know, part of this was kind of shifted with like the tragedies that have ensued since then. But like, I don't know, it just felt like everything was like safer and more peaceful than it is now rather. And there was just such a sense of community. Like you said, like you just go outside and you just meet people and someone moved to your neighborhood. I mean, and they're around your age, we're friends. That's it. That's pretty much it. Unless they're an absolute douche. You're a friend. There was one guy, he was an absolute douche in my neighborhood and we were not cool. But everyone else, and in fact, we weren't cool and we still hung out with this guy. We did not even like him like that. But he's still in the bracket. He's still in the Budokai bracket. We got that chick out first every time to get this work. Like, I mean, man, it was crazy fun, dude. Like, and it was like I said, it was like we found reasons to include people, whereas I feel like as adults, people find reasons to exclude. Like that was just such a big difference back then, and that's one of the biggest things I miss. And that's one of the things I feel like as an adult we don't have to do that. And I feel like some of it people do out of self-importance. Some of it is safety. I do get that, but like, I mean, does everyone have to have the exact same opinion as you that you're around? I don't think that's necessarily the case. Now, if they have dangerous opinions, that's one thing. Like, oh yeah, blowing stuff up is fine. Like, hold on. Hold on.
I got my grenade with me today.
We need to have legal grenade carrying laws. Hold on. Hold on. Like, no, I get that kind of stuff. Like, I think for certain things, we just let it dictate too much. And it stops us from being as open-minded. It stops us from potential good relationships we could have. And it sucks that it's like that. And as a community, I feel like we could do better, like we did, like we used to. At least felt like we were doing better, So
yeah, my brother, one day I was like, why aren't you, why isn't my niece outside riding her bike? I mean, that was my whole life when I was a child. What's happening? He's like, we don't do that anymore. Like, it's not safe. It's not safe. She can ride outside, but she does not want to ride just right in front of the house. She does not want to do that in a circle around the house. Like
that's what we did.
Like, that's boring. That's boring as fuck. And she's like, she wants to go in the neighborhood and she wants to, ride her bike like we used to do. And it's like, but you can't do that anymore because it's not safe. Right. Like, and I'm like, damn, that's crazy to me. Yeah.
Yeah, growing up at my great grandma's house, we were in a safe neighborhood. There was just one house at the end of the street where we called the bad boys' house. And I think later in life, I come to know it's probably a drug house.
Gotcha.
But everything else was safe. We would ride around. We had a pastor a few doors down, so it was a safe neighborhood. So we felt fine riding our bikes around the street, and we just wouldn't ride too close up to the bad boys' house. But still, nowadays, I would not feel safe just walking around as an adult. I feel like
that's true.
Walking while black is also a crime.
I mean, that part. That part. Especially in a nice neighborhood.
Especially like when I got in this house, when I first went to visit, I walked up to the front door. A white lady riding her bike stopped and pulled out her phone when I was at the door. I was like, "Is she calling the police on me?" I don't know.
Wow.
Oh, man, that's crazy, man. I mean, that's facts, though. That's true, though. That's exactly what I'm getting at. And it sucks. And it sucks. And like I said, I think it kind of just goes back to, for me, we just aren't as communal as we used to be. And maybe that's because of technology kind of making it not as necessary to get that interaction in person like it used to have to be. But I feel like we're suffering from that now with mental health and all that. But I ain't gonna go into a tantrum about that. But yeah, I think the other thing that we kind of Robert also kind of hit on, that kind of hits my second point, is free entertainment. Jesus Christ, dude. Everything costs money. I told my brother the other day, I was like, bro, I promise you, sooner or later, they're going to start charging us for oxygen. Because it seems like we can't use even natural resources or anything we find for free. Like, water costs money. Like, light costs money. Electricity costs money. I get everything costs money. Yeah, I get it. All these things are manufactured and controlled by certain people, and that takes, money and funds. I get it. But I'm like, again, at a point, it just kind of sucks because, like you said, you want to just go somewhere and do stuff and just hang out. Just hang out with people you like. Just be in a different space than your house sometimes, or your apartment or whatever sometimes. And it's like, well, you can't do that because if you don't want to spend money. And they're like, well, maybe I don't want to spend money today. Maybe I have too many bills this month, and it just sucks because it feels like as a kid, it was like, I feel like not even as a kid, just in general in the 90s, there's so much free stuff. Like, just to do, like, free entertainment. Like you said, going to the mall is much more entertaining in itself. Like Alonzo said, going into GameStop, you could play games there. Full games. Like, for free. You could just try out whatever. They had whole, like, panels of games that you could try out on every system. Every new system was out there. Game Boy, freaking Xbox, GameCube, PlayStation, all that junk. Up there, you could just, it's boxed in, locked in the little clear box junk, and it was just like controller sticking out of it, and you and your brother, your friend, whoever was with you, could just two-man a game real quick. Like, and you can't, I'm pretty sure they don't have any of those machines anymore, at least not in those sort of traditional GameStop stuff anymore. At least I haven't seen them. But, like, that stuff was, like, fun for us, and it was simple fun, and, like, I don't know. It's like they don't. It's almost like they don't want simple fun for us anymore. Like, these festivals and stuff that used to happen, all of them used to be free, and now majority of them cost money, like $20 interest fee. Then you got to pay for the food too. Then you got to pay for the things too. Then you got to pay for the games too. It's like, what the freak, dude? Like, all this stuff used to be so much more just about, okay, let's get people out of their houses. Let's get people to commune. Let's get people to enjoy themselves and, like, be happy and, like, be in this nice environment. And that's what it did, and it worked well. Like, I mean, like, even we talked about, like, the free public TV and stuff like that. Like, what is free now? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm sure the public TV is probably still free, but I doubt that it even has nearly as many channels as it used to. Like, right. Even if it is, And I'm like, I mean, like I said, just people used to, like, go out of their way to at least allow you to have a taste of something free. Taste of something to see if you like it, if you enjoy it, and then maybe, okay, you'll try it. So now it's almost like, especially with, like, games, right? It's like the free game is the game that you're paying for $70 for, and then what you are actually getting the rest of it in the DLCs is what we used to pay for, right? We used to just be paying for, the free trial is what I got stopped at for this base game, and then the DLCs were the rest of the game, that we couldn't get to with the free trial, But now it's like, all that just costs extra money. And it's like, it's just frustrating in general because, like you said, sometimes you just want to just be in a different place and just enjoy your friends and just, like, I have to spend money and just, like, be in someone else's company. But that seems to be, like, not something that they value anymore. And even with just, like, and again, I hate to keep bashing games, but, like, there's, like, barely any co-op games, in-person co-op games, like, in general. Like, how many games are 2 to 4 players anymore in person? Almost all of them will say, oh, you can do 2 to 4 players online.
Right.
Like, and I'm like, so if someone's sitting right next to me, they can't play the game with me? Like, that's crazy, dude. Like, I don't know, dude. Like I said, you can't do neighborhood tournaments anymore, right? Like, you just can't do that kind of stuff anymore. And it's just like, it seemed like they just kind of pushed it to where we're less and less communal, we're less and less together, and I don't know. And then they're definitely not letting us get out of paying for anything that is enjoyable.
Right. Yeah. I feel like now, if you were walking around the mall, like somebody would stop you and be like, "Are you buying anything? Like, or why are you here?" Kind of thing.
Seems
like, you know, like like you're either here to spend money or you're not supposed to be in here. You know, it's like that. That's I definitely fear that, like you said, that's where we're headed. Like, right. Here's everything costs money, and everyone knows it, and now everyone just has to be okay with it. You paid your oxygen tax today. Wow.
With the way rent's going and mortgage prices, yeah, it's corporate greed, unfortunately. But what can you do unless we overthrow the government? I didn't say that. Never mind.
What? Alonzo said February 6th. It's like February 6th, 2024.
Robert, Alonzo's FBI agent is like going in right now.
Like, you hear this shit?
Get this nigga right now. You heard that she said it in a podcast 2 weeks ago.
6'5" black man. 6'5". Get his ass.
We don't need some extra agents. Oh my gosh, but nah, legitimately, man, it's a shame. It really is a shame, and I wish we could get back to that. Just like and there's some they're still around. Like we got a free festival coming around like tomorrow, I think, over here, and it's beautiful and it's nice, and like we go to that kind of stuff. It just feels like everybody's more relaxed. I don't know. I just feel like everyone's more relaxed. Like, okay, you didn't have to pay for this. Whatever you get, it's a bonus, right? Whether when you pay for it, it's like, oh, I need to get something out of this. I better enjoy this. And it's almost like you have to force yourself into enjoying it because, like, well, I paid money, I need to enjoy this. Whereas, like, you go to something free or you go to something just like a family event, whatever, and it's with your friends. You're like, okay, well, we're here, we're here, and whatever happens, and it's cool. It's just cool. Whatever happens, and we're just chilling, having a good time, and whatever memories we can make cool. So it's like that gets lost in translation. But anyway, I hit my last one really quick, and it wasn't free, but it made you feel free. And that was 90s and early 2000s music, man. Like the music back then was, and it's not that there's no good music now, but back then, bro, like the levels of goated music that we have from the 90s, early 2000s is crazy. And albums in general. I mean, from across genres. I mean, we're not talking about just hip hop or anything like that. We're talking about hip hop, we're talking about rock, we're talking about alternative, we're talking about, people innovating in these genres, dude, like doing different stuff. We're talking about, rock, like Paramore, freaking Yellow Card. I mean, Linkin Park. I mean, bangers from these people, dude. Bangers across, like, people that didn't even listen to these like genres, right, would like still love these songs. I mean, like a whole new group of like emos were killing Paramore and Linkin Park, and people that were like not even emo, but they were like, oh, I can kind of be emo if it's Paramore emo. It's like like Linkin Park, like and it was just such a fun time to just like enjoy music and all these different kinds of things. And again, artists just pushing boundaries, doing different stuff. I mean, obviously, about Kanye West, Lil Wayne in the hip hop industry, Jay-Z. I mean, freaking Outkast. I mean, dudes doing like stuff that's so different and unique, and like just putting out music that, I mean, generations of people enjoyed. And it just, like I said, it's not the same these days, but it's like back then, I mean, it was just like, it just seemed like you were guaranteed to get something just so unique and different, and something that's so impactful in your music when you were listening to something different back then. It's like, it was just a different time. And like I said, even for me, I wasn't a big rock person, but still for me, Linkin Park, Paramore, Yellow Card, those kind of people putting out such good songs, like music that made me open my eyes. But okay, like I need to expand my musical taste because there's good music besides, hip hop. And then 90s R&B, whole other thing, dude. Like come on, man. 90s R&B got the game on lock till this day, dude. Till this day, 90s R&B will get you. Let me not say that. we'll get you in a good position. like I mean, Like, come on, man. So we're talking about some of the greatest artists of all time in the 90s and early 2000s. I mean, some of the most, songs that carry on for forever. I mean, albums that carry on for forever. Like, that will never be forgotten. Like, not even talking about Tupac and Biggie and those kind of, like, legends that people, like, will never forget, dude. Like, I mean, Left Eye. I mean, geez, like, it's, like, the list goes on. The list goes on. Like, forever and ever. Beyonce started back then. I mean, come on, dude. Like, the people, and the craziest part is there's so many artists and I feel like the staying power of those artists is totally different than like it is currently, because so many of those artists that were really, really, really good in the 90s, early 2000s are still around. And I feel like that didn't happen with music back, before that or after that. Like, it's really just that generation that really, really stayed, like really, really stayed. And they made consistently good music till, for decades. And that is super abnormal for the entertainment industry, for anyone to be in the light, like the big spotlight, especially for that longer period. But there's so many artists from back then that have really, really just continued to do different things, to up their game, to push the boundary, to push the envelope, and to try and really progress the game. And to, like you said, kind of in the beginning, like actually try and be the GOATs of their artistry. And we're losing that now with this current generation, with people, again, oh, this is successful for him? Okay, I'm gonna do that too. And I'm maybe taking a little tweak on it so it sounds a little different, but I'm basically gonna do that. And I'm like, okay, right, if you want, but like, yeah, you'll never achieve anything beyond mediocrity. And it seems like, unfortunately, if it comes with a check, there's way too many people in entertainment, and that's trickling down to the other generations that are okay with that.
I mean, man, that's a really good one, and I didn't even really think about that. I feel, well, I want to say two things. One, I think that like you said, early artists like that, I feel like that made a lot of what I was interested in, right? Or what I think now is good music is from that generation, like 90s rock, like you said, The Killers, Blink-182, like Green Day, like all
Green
of that.
Day. How did I forget?
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, like that was the music I listened to, the music I kind of grew up on a bit. And the reason this gets to my second thing is that I think that this is connected, right? That like we had this community, and that's what we shared. We shared all of it. We shared games, we shared music, we shared things just in our little community. And now we don't do that anymore. So who do we, who do we get? What's the new, it's like no one's sharing that anymore. So it's hard for us to say that like there's like I can't name a recent band, like a group. You know what I mean? Like, I know there's a bunch of individuals trying to come up, and I get that. Like, similar to what you're saying, that like there's a market that are saying, hey, if you put in this amount of effort, you make your own beats, you do your own thing, because everyone is trying to learn how to do these things, then you should be able to get this amount of money, and maybe that satisfies you. And that's what they do. So everyone's an individual now. No one's a group. Which is sad. I mean, groups were the amazing part. It's like having a band make a song together, and like that's different than just having one guy. But I don't know.
Facts.
Anyways.
The combination of mumble rappers with trap beats has done more harm to hip hop than anything in history. Even Reagan, even the CIA, done
the crack epidemic, more than the crack epidemic. Mumble rap, damn.
Oh man, the true epidemic.
Music back then was pretty good. I especially like 90s R&B. Jodeci, Boyz II Men,
New Edition,
New Edition, Soul for Real.
Oh, Soul.
There's a lot of great a lot of great acts out there from
Right.
back then. But yeah, it was just good music, good times, great vibes. Listening to the radio when your favorite song came on, you didn't have to search for it; it came on randomly. You just like just hype, just like, oh, this is my shit.
Right? I mean, it's crazy because this kind of goes back to both of y'all's kind of points, and and we're like, yeah, like we're now used to being the ones like, oh, we got to select it. I want exactly what I want when I want it. But like, we used to like the surprise, right? Of, oh, yeah, I'm just listening to radio. I'm chilling. Right, it's cool. And even first of all, finding, new music like that, finding new artists that you like that. Like, hold on, this guy kind of all right. Turn up the radio, right? And then you get that nice surprise. It's like your favorite song. You singing along. You in the car. You going crazy. You gotta make sure see your mom, see what your mom doing. How you know these words? Hold on. like I don't know, man. It was like it's just like a different feeling. Like I was gonna say, like a different vibe that we had back then, and like you said, Robert, like groups, like we said, even groups like R&B, like that's dead. There are no R&B groups of guys, period. Like I mean, New Edition, like you said, Soul For Real, freaking Boyz II Men. I'll say Boyz II Men, New Edition, especially. I mean, those two have songs that people sing till this day as like proof that you can sing if you can sing these songs. Like those are like audition songs. Like the End of the Road sort of songs, like, the End of the Road. I'm not going to attempt to sing it. I'm not about to get embarrassed on here. I mean, come on, dude. Like they, again, set standards for music back in that time, right? That people still follow, but they're going about it in a way that doesn't really honor the memory of those artists, And it sucks. It sucks. It really does, man. Because like I would love to hear more people that kind of use that as their inspiration. I'm not saying I want the clones, but I want them to do their own thing and make your own music. But like to kind of take that as inspiration. Try something different. Try something that maybe people haven't done in a while. And that would be cool to see. And there's some artists that do it, but they're usually not. They're usually a little underground and not as popular. And then a lot of times they might become popular and then they lose their sound. And that sucks too. So, but yeah, I feel like this kind of got somber. But I mean,
that's what happens when you're thinking back in time, right? Like, oh, I miss it.
Yeah. Sometimes all this reminiscing makes you get a bit extra.
All right, I heard my magic word. Well, staying on that somber note, I want to start off. The other day, the world lost former football player and renowned actor Carl Weathers. Just want to say rest in peace to him. You may remember him in his role as Apollo Creed in Rocky, as Action Jackson, and as Chubbs in Happy Gilmore, where he taught Happy how to play golf. So he was a great actor, and I always appreciated him for the first Rocky movie where he beat Rocky's ass. I never would have thought that the black man beat someone down in the first movie. And I don't know the logistics and history of the Rocky movies, but I'd have to imagine, like, if the first movie bombed miserably, they wouldn't have continued with the next movie with Rocky's rematch. So it was just great that he won the first one. Yeah. Here's to Mr. Weathers, and my thoughts are with his family at this time. But moving on to the NFL. Sure. Last weekend, the NFL Conference Championship games took place for the AFC and NFC. In the AFC, we had Baltimore Ravens hosting the Kansas City Chiefs. And in the NFC, we had the San Francisco 49ers hosting the Detroit Lions. Now, I'm biased because I'm in Maryland, but I wanted the Baltimore Ravens to reach the Super Bowl. I also wanted the long downtrodden Detroit Lions to win as well and make it to their first Super Bowl in franchise history. Unfortunately, both of those teams lost, and we'll have a 2020 Super Bowl rematch between the 49ers and Chiefs and Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas. Big yawn because I don't like any of those teams. The Chiefs or the Niners. But, I just can't believe we missed out on a Baltimore versus Detroit matchup for Black History Month. Baltimore black people with Detroit black people in Sin City with an Usher concert in the middle.
Oh, my gosh.
It would have been a renaissance.
They knew it would be too powerful.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
It's like collecting all the Infinity Stones. That's what will let us happen.
There's too much blackness in one time period. We had to kill it.
But I'm still going to watch the big game and see who comes out on top. It's either going to be the dynasty of the Kansas City Chiefs or the we have better players than you San Francisco 49ers. So we'll see what happens then.
Right.
And then Formula One, we have some racing news. In Formula One, huge shockwaves were sent across the sport when it was announced that Sir Lewis Hamilton, the only black driver to ever race in Formula One,
right,
and it's the all-time win leader with 103 wins and is tied for the most championships with 7, is set to join historic team and manufacturer Ferrari in the 2025 season. Why this is a shock is because Hamilton is leaving Mercedes, the team he's been with for over 10 years and won 6 of his championships with. Hamilton is joining Ferrari in his age 40 season in 2025, and he's looking to compete for wins and championships. The team that has arguably been the most that has the most championship pedigree in the sport. So Hamilton was quoted as saying the move fulfills a childhood dream. We'll see how the move works out for him. It's been a long time since a Ferrari driver won the Formula One World Championship, and the team usually goes through peaks and valleys in its ability to be competitive. So I'll be waiting for the 2025 season with great interest, and obviously we'll see how the 2024 lame duck season goes for Hamilton with Mercedes. So to the country of Italy, look at me. The face of your most iconic brand, one of your most iconic brands, is a black man. Thank you on that, Italy. So yeah, it's cool stuff. But in the final story tonight, a Jackie Robinson statue in Wichita, Kansas was stolen and destroyed a few days before the start of February. For those of you who don't know, Jackie Robinson was the first black baseball player to play in Major League Baseball in the USA for the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1947. His breaking of the cover line allowed for others to follow him from the Negro Leagues and he was an inspiration for many other black athletes to break other sports cover lines and thrive in sports today. But back to the story about the statue. The statue of Robinson was sawed off at the ankles and stolen, eventually being found burned and destroyed in a trash can. No culprit or motive has been found yet, but one can take a good guess as to why, especially with, everything that's going on in the country today.
Right.
You can take a good guess as to why. So I hope they find whoever did this and throw the book at them. The statue was put up by a non-profit trying to expose underserved youth to the sport of baseball. Luckily, the MLB has stepped up to pay for a replacement, and donations to the non-profit will be used to pay for extra security. But for Jackie Robinson, he's been an inspiration to a lot of black athletes in this country. So I wanted to ask y'all, as a black person, who has been an inspiration to you? For me, even though I was born too late to experience his career, the words and attitude of Muhammad Ali have always been inspiring to me. From I am the greatest to float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, and don't count the days, make the days count. He has a lot of great quotes that get anyone motivated, and he had a phenomenal, flawless career as a boxer. So I was prone to saying some of his quotes to myself during undergrad to get through it. I had an undeserved and irrational confidence by saying those quotes to myself, but it got me through college. But sorry for rambling, but again, who as a black person has been an inspiration to you all?
You want me to go first? Go ahead.
I kind of brought this up in the beginning. I mean, comedy being a big part of my life originally, and those are some of I think one of the most inspiring people for some reason when it came to watching their stand-up. They almost always had this inspirational part in their thing, and so Cat Williams was part of that, but even getting older than that, I mean, Richard Pryor and like Eddie Murphy and like some of the GOATs of all time, like their stand-ups were so good, and the way even the way they viewed life as always being so like, I don't know, it was almost like they're just taking the positive out of life. Like that's their goal, is to make whatever event happens in their life a positive event, a funny thing, and making light of it. Like that is what was inspiring to me. So yeah, like like I said, I mean, any like so many of the GOAT comedians, I held on to like their quotes. Like, man,
yeah, that's a good one. As much flack as I'm probably gonna get for this is the honest truth. Kanye West. Kanye West. Y'all already know this. Anyone that knows me knows I love me some Kanye West. Specifically though, like late, like what guys like not late, like early 2000s Kanye West. Because for me, like I said, middle school especially, I mean, it was a really tough time for me. And I tell you that, like, we already talked about like Toonami, its impact that it's had on me, like kind of how I think and how I kind of help overcome things. But like Kanye West music was something that literally was in my ear, in my head, and like I would play some of his songs on repeat to try and shape my mind to a more positive and more motivated and more self-assured version of myself. Like, because his music was so real and so deep that he would expose himself for things. He would talk. There's literally a whole song where he talks about, you know, basically us doing things for the look of it. You know, we're doing things for the look of having the car, having the clothes, having all this, but we're all self-conscious. And he said he's the first to admit it, right? Like that's famous quote from that song, right? And like, just for me, even thinking like, okay, so like the fact that I'm like so self-conscious about me and like this low self-esteem, this low confidence, and like this man has what I think everything, you know, and he still has his issues. Like, okay, so it's not just me, you know. He made me feel like, okay, it's not just me struggling with these things, right? And then on top of that, all of his songs are kind of just like appreciation, especially not all, I won't say all, but a lot of his songs, especially in like the early 2000s, were a lot of like appreciation for himself and the things that he's doing and the things he's trying to do, despite what anyone else thinks about it, despite what anyone else feels about it. He's like, I appreciate me and I like me and I love me. Even if you don't love me, I love me. And like, for someone at that time who didn't have a lot of self-love, that I needed to hear that I can love me even if other people don't love me. Like, I'm okay to do that and I'm allowed to do that and I should do that. And that music back then let me feel that way about myself and gave me a sense of more assuredness and confidence and self-love. And again, I can't speak to what happened to Kanye and his music and his personal life. I don't know him. I can speak to the music that he made, especially in the early 2000s, and how that impacted my life. And it surely had a very positive impact on me. And I appreciate him. And if I ever meet Kanye, if somehow he hears this, dude, let him know I appreciate his music, because that, especially in the early 2000s, because that got me through some very, very dark times. Very, very dark times. So I give people their opinions, but how about y'all try and listen to the full story about things before we make judgments, which I know you're not going to do anyway. But I had to say it at least. But the other person, the true Black history stalwart, is Benjamin Banneker. And I love some Benjamin Banneker. He's famous for being a mathematician, very eloquent guy, very intelligent guy, in the 1700s, early 1800s. So obviously super racist times, very, very racist times. And one of the biggest things, and even though I'm never a big math person, but just the goal and audacity and the intelligence of the guy with self-taught, you know, being self-taught just made me feel like, okay, if this guy can self-teach himself at a time where, for one, they don't want you to learn, you're punished for learning as a Black person, especially a Black man, well, not Black person in general, let's be real. And he self-teaches himself to the point where he is surpassing so-called scholars in these areas, right? Made me feel like, okay, well, he's working with very little. I think I can make this undergrad thing work. You know, I think I can make this college thing work. If these guys are working with, you know, fear for your life to learn, you know, I think I can try and figure this stuff out when my life doesn't literally hang in the balance of me learning these things and potentially dying from just learning too much information, you know? So for me, that was a really, really powerful character for me. And one thing in particular that always sticks in my head about Benjamin Banneker is like he has a exchange with Thomas Jefferson, the president at the time, and it's I can't remember the exact quote, but in the exchange, he's so intelligent and eloquent and well spoken and well written, rather, because it wasn't like a verbal, it was a written exchange, well written, that Thomas Jefferson, at that time is like forced, and this is like I said, late 1700s, early 1800s, so super racist times, forced to admit, oh, this guy's, you're ridiculously intelligent, you are exceptional. And to force the president, who, like every other white person, for the most part back then, was super racist, to admit that you, and a person that is at that, president back then, I mean, it's still a big step, but back then it was like, I mean, you're a god to some people. And for him to admit that a black person was exceptional, and for you to be so exceptional that you forced him to admit that, I was like, oh, this guy's the ish. This guy's the ish, man. This guy is crazy representative of the potential of black people, and that we really could do whatever we want to if we really set our minds to it. But that's totally up to the person, So yeah, because obviously there's not 100,000 Benjamin Managers, so there's only one of him. So it was not an easy thing to do, and it was just like I said, just something that really I've always looked at with awe and a little bit of aspiration to try and be thankful for the opportunity to learn in a place where I don't have to be fearful of repercussions for just wanting to know more. So yeah.
Well said. Yeah, I mean, and I know we also have like plenty of people like family wise too that we probably could mention here, but yeah,
100%.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about my like great grandparents and stuff, and how often they, or even my grandparents, and how often they are the ones that are just like, hey, you are who you are, and that's good. That's completely good. So yeah, plenty of people to be inspired by. Even you, Alonzo. Inspire me in many ways. I mean, all throughout undergrad, definitely. I mean, he was the man to beat, or at least the man to try to be. I mean, my whole route was following your footsteps almost, Alonzo. So anyways.
Still trying to be like this man. I'm still trying to get a house like this guy.
I know, right?
Get a 6-figure job. Have a neighborhood where white people look at me funny. I want that. I want that. So one day I'm getting there, but very, very proud of Alonzo. And like you said, of course, so many family members, obviously grandparents. I mean, what they had to go through, sheesh, grandparents, great grandparents, my God, we definitely don't have to imagine that, and that's thanks to them and all the people in their generation that put in hard work and sacrificed themselves and their own peace and some of them their lives. So yeah, man. So a lot of people look up to, and of course our own. For me, at least, I know my parents and my dad and my mom both come from not much, and they grinded to their whole lives and grinded for me and grinded to allow me opportunities. So I appreciate them supremely. And like my dad is a Nigerian immigrant. I mean, straight from Nigeria. So like I said, I mean, he came over here by himself in the midst of, to the South, in the midst of like the 60s and 70s where it was super racist, So, again, it's again, a lot of people that inspire me. But yeah, for sure. Good question. And we're obviously super thankful for everyone that's helped mold us into the men we are today. But without further ado, we'll kind of close things out. And we went super long today. But we appreciate you sticking with us this whole time if you did. And even if you didn't, we appreciate you sticking out for as long as you could and for kind of sharing in with our conversation this time around. We hit a lot of different topics. We kind of went all over the place, but bear with us. We're only human. But anyway, thanks again for procrastinating with us. We out.